Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be reading you the book Meet Willie O'Ree, a Scholastic Canada Biography by Elizabeth MacLeod, illustrated by Mike Diaz. Willie O'Ree looked around and beamed. All his life he dreamed of playing in the National Hockey League. He had practiced and trained hard, and now here he was, racing down the ice as a Boston Bruin. Willie made history on January 18, 1958. He became the first black player ever in the NHL. Willie was born on October 15, 1935 in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Willie's grandparents had come to Canada from the United States using the Underground Railroad. That was a secret system for transporting black people to help them escape slavery. Willie was the youngest of 13 kids. By the time he was 5 years old, he was already playing hockey on his family's backyard rink. Hockey wasn't the only sport Willie loved. He also played baseball, tennis, volleyball, and rugby, and he swam. Willie liked school too. Math and social studies were his favorite subjects. He even enjoyed doing homework, as long as he still had time for hockey. When Willie was growing up, there was only one other black family in Fredericton. All the kids in Willie's area played together, whether they were black or white. But everyone knew things weren't equal and there was racism. For instance, black people were not welcome inside the local barbershop. Only white people could get their hair cut there. The barber cut Willie's hair outside instead. That was unfair. It bothered Willie. So one day, when Willie was 13 years old, he walked into the barber shop. The other customers stared at him. What would happen next? No one said a word. When it was Willie's turn, he quietly sat down in the chair and the barber cut his hair. Willie never had his hair cut on the porch again. That day, Willie realized he could change things. Growing up, Willie knew he could skate faster and shoot a puck better than other kids, even his big brother Richard. But Willie also played baseball really well. When his team won a championship in 1949, the prize included a trip to a major league game in New York City. Willie even got to meet his baseball hero, Jackie Robinson, who played for the Brooklyn Dodgers. In 1946, Jackie had begun playing with the Montreal Royals. That was the first time a black man had played in a minor league game. A year later, Jackie Robinson became the first black player in the major leagues. It was tough. Fans often threw things at him, and one of his teammates even demanded that Jackie be dropped from the team. But Jackie didn't give up and became one of baseball's top players. Willie continued to be a great baseball player. He was so good that he got a tryout with Milwaukee's minor league team when he was 20 years old. Willie traveled to the training camp near Atlanta, Georgia. This is the deep south of the United States, and there was a lot of racism against black people there. There were laws about where black people could go and what they could do. On the baseball diamond, Willie played well, but his heart wasn't in it. He didn't like the racism that seemed to be everywhere. Besides, hockey was his favorite sport. Most players are sad when a team lets them go. Not Willie. He was happy when he was finally cut and able to go home. From now on, Willie would focus on hockey. Could he make a career as a player? Ever since Willie was 14, his brother Richard had encouraged him to think about playing pro hockey. He told Willie he had the skills to play in the NHL. But Richard also knew Willie would face racial discrimination along the way. Hockey was a sport played by white players for mostly white audiences. Some white people did not feel that black people should play hockey. In 1952, Willie began playing for the Fredericton Capitals in the New Brunswick Senior Hockey League. Then he was asked to play for the Quebec Frontenacs of the Quebec Provincial Junior A Hockey League. Willie kept moving up to better and better leagues. He was a fast, tough player. In 1955, he began playing for the Kitchener Canucks in the Ontario Hockey Association, a major junior league. One night in 1956, the Canucks were playing the Guelph Biltmores. That's when Willie's life changed forever. Willie had skated to the Guelph end, chasing the puck. He passed it back to his teammate Kent Douglas at the blue line. Willie raced to the front of the net as Kent let loose with a slap shot. Just then, a Guelph defenseman cross-checked Willie in the back, spinning him around. Willie turned to find the puck. That's when the puck bounced off a stick and flew into Willie's right eye. He dropped to the ice in agony. Willie was rushed to the hospital. He was badly cut and had a broken nose and cheekbone. But even worse, Willie couldn't see out of his right eye. What a disaster! Willie knew the NHL wouldn't allow a player who was blind in one eye. That's because he might get hit in the other eye and be left totally blind. Willie couldn't accept that his hockey career was over, so about 8 weeks after his accident, he was back on the ice. It was really tough when Willie tried shooting. Since he played left wing and shot left-handed, he had to turn his head all the way over his right shoulder to see the puck. but the more Willie practiced, the better he got. It wasn't long before he was able to return to junior hockey. Willie didn't tell anyone on the Canucks how badly he'd been injured. In his first game back, he was nervous. He flinched every time the puck came near him. Willie knew he couldn't keep doing that, so he decided to play the best he could and make sure no one found out about his eye. He still dreamed of playing in the NHL. Willie played so well he was signed by the Quebec Aces in the Quebec Hockey League. They were a professional team. That meant Willie was getting paid to play the game he loved. And sometimes the Boston Bruins of the National Hockey League called up players from the Aces to replace injured players. Willie was just one step away from his dream. In January 1958, Willie got the call he'd been waiting for all his life. The Boston Bruins wanted him to play for them. Willie would be the first black player in the NHL. Willie knew he was just filling in for an injured player. He played one game in Montreal and one in Boston. Then he had to return to the Aces. Now getting back into the NHL became Willie's goal. Willie worked harder than ever, and in December 1960, the Bruins called him up. Willie was in the NHL again. On January 1st, 1961, Boston was battling the Montreal Canadiens. It was a tight game, and the Bruins were ahead 2-1. Midway through the third period, Willie took a pass and raced toward the Montreal net. He let a low shot rip along the ice. Goal! That was Willie's first goal in the NHL. People cheered for 2 minutes as he stood on the ice grinning. Willie's teammates loved having him on their side, but sometimes players on the other teams called him names. They knocked Willie into the boards or hit him with their sticks. Then those bullies got mad when Willie fought back. And when Willie fought back, he was often the one who got a penalty. Today, NHL players who make racist comments receive fines and suspensions, but black players still sometimes get called names by players and fans. Willie played 43 games with the Bruins that season. He had many fans and was looking forward to returning the next fall, but instead he was traded to Montreal and ended up with the Hull Ottawa Canadiens in the Eastern Professional Hockey League. In late 1961, Willie was traded to the Los Angeles Blades in the Western Hockey League. He didn't even know there was a pro team there, but the Blades fans loved him, and Willie soon liked living in California. In 1963, the Blades got a new coach. The next season, he asked if Willie could switch to playing right wing because they needed a fast skater for that position. Willie had to adjust to take passes on his backhand. It was difficult, but he worked hard and mastered it. Playing right wing worked so well for Willie that he won the WHL scoring title in 1965 and 1969. Willie was also voted onto 4 All-Star teams. Willie had always hoped to play in the NHL again, but by now the league had found out about his eye. Instead, Willie played into other pro leagues, mostly for teams in California. Willie finally retired from playing hockey in 1979. He was 43 years old. Not many players stay in the game that long, but hockey wasn't finished with Willie just yet. In 1996, Willie got a call from the NHL's Diversity Task Force. This group works with kids who might not be able to afford hockey or who are children of color who without many hockey role models. The Diversity Task Force was organizing a kids tournament called the Willie O'Ree All-Star Weekend. Of course they wanted Willie to be there. He said yes, and he and the kids had a fun time, so Willie began to do more work with the group. 2 years later, Willie became the Director of Youth Development for the Diversity Task Force. He did a great job teaching kids how to play hockey, but Willie also taught the kids other skills. They learned things like how to deal with conflict, the importance of getting a good education, setting goals, and reaching them. Willie has earned many awards for his achievements. In 2003, he won the Lester Patrick Trophy for improving U.S. hockey. During the 2008 NHL All-Star Game, Willie was honored for being a hockey trailblazer. That was the same year he was named to the Order of Canada. There's even Willie O'Ree Place, a sports complex in his hometown of Fredericton. In April 2018, the NHL created the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award. It goes to a person who uses hockey to help others build important life skills, just like Willie does. In November 2018, Willie was given one of the highest honors a hockey player can receive. He was made a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Willie was only the third black player to earn this award, after Grant Fuhr and Angela James. Willie reached his goal of playing in the NHL by believing in himself. He worked hard even when he faced racism and serious injuries, and he never gave up on his dream. As Willie says, you never fail until you stop trying. Thanks for listening. I hope you had as much fun learning about Willie O'Ree as I did reading about him.